talk a bit about your ideological journey? You started off with very different political beliefs than you have now.
I started out on the left because I was a kid and it was the 60s, and the girls on the left would do it. It was that simple, really. I mean, it's like, I remember my freshman year.
So that's the key to outreach. I mean, the Republicans are looking for what
Republicans have to do is have more sex, and then, you know, Palin is like a step in the right direction. Obviously, the Palin family has a fair amount of sex, not quite as much as David Letterman thinks they do, but, you know, nonetheless. I was walking down an alley, first weekend at college, my freshman year. I'm walking down an alley, and there's bars on two sides of this alley. One bar is filled with all the sort of like sorority and fraternity jock types, good-looking kids, beautiful girls, and all dressed up very nicely, and having fun, and looking quite attractive. But I'm thinking, I'm not good-looking, and I'm not an athlete, and I can't even afford a fraternity. I'm not getting in there. And on the other side of the alley, there was this bar called Mac and Joe's. And over there are equally attractive girls, these girls who iron their hair, and they're playing Kumbaya on the guitar, and they're smoking Lucky Strikes, and drinking beer out of the bottle. And I'm thinking, well, those girls are very cute too, and I'll bet they do it. You know, I persisted in my Marxism till I was 22 or 23, and I got a job. I'm a leftist, I'm a socialist, I'm for sharing everything. I get a job as a messenger in New York, $150 a week, get paid every 2 weeks. I'm really looking forward to that $300, really looking forward to it. And so is my landlord. I mean, this is more money than I've had in my hands in a long time. I get my paycheck, I net out at like $185.93 after federal tax and state tax and city tax and Social Security contribution and retirement fund, which I was very interested in that age, and the health care benefits and all this stuff and union dues. I net out at 180 something. And I go, wait a minute, I've been a socialist all these years. I've been screaming for socialism, yelling for socialism, demonstrating for socialism, and I discovered we have socialism. They just took half my pay. I'm not Rockefeller. What are they taking half my pay, you know? That was the end of that.
That's what it takes. The journey from easy sex to paycheck.
Easy sex to paychecks.
When you were in the early years of your career, you were sort of in the midst of a rightward turn in the nation.
Yeah.
Do you think that's over now?
Yes. The public tends to vibrate between, the public loves freedom and it loves getting things for free. You know, you can't, I mean, you know, this is only human. And so politically the public has a tendency to vibrate between the benefits of freedom, that would be Reagan, and getting things for free, that would be Obama. And so they go back and forth, and after they get things for free for a while, they realize there's actually is a price attached to the stuff they're getting for free. And the price can be quite high. The price can be like living in the Carter administration. So they go, okay, all right, you know, we realize there's no free lunch. And so we go for freedom itself. And they go through, and then they find out that freedom itself has a certain price called responsibility. You're supposed to take care of yourself. You're supposed to solve your own problems. Well, everybody hates solving their own problems. And along comes somebody and says, hey, free problem solving over here, you know? And they go back to, after all, you know, if human beings had a capacity to learn these lessons easily, a Ponzi scheme would have only worked once with Mr. Ponzi, right? But here's Mr. Madoff, you know? It works over and over again.
And Social Security.
And Social Security, the largest Ponzi scheme ever, yeah.
You're one of the most quotable guys around, and one quote that I attribute to you, or have for a long time, is something to the effect of, the job of a president is to stand around for 4 years and take credit for anything good that happens. Is that really, I mean, is this whole job...
I don't know if I said for sure if I said that, but I'm saying it now.
Okay, all right. Is it, even Republicans do it, Democrats do it, of course Obama's doing it. This job creation hocus pocus, is it really just back to the time when we were primitive tribesmen and we killed the king if we had a bad crop yield and we praised the king if we had a great harvest?
It isn't back to that time. It's always been that time. I mean, we look to political leadership for all sorts of things that political leadership can't possibly deliver. And we just bless them, you know. I mean, when we had a walkover in the Gulf War in 1991, we just couldn't have been happier with George Bush, with Senior George Bush. He had 110% approval ratings, you know. Like a month later, we go into recession and we're ready to slaughter the guy. I mean, we throw him overboard in favor of this bozo from Arkansas with the world's most unpleasant marriage and roving hands besides, you know. And it's, oh God, you go, and you start to realize that the real job of a conservative, the real job of a libertarian, the real job of people who are in favor of individual freedom and individual responsibility is not to back one side or back the other side. It's to convince people to back away from politics. Government and politics is there for very, very limited purposes. There are just a few things that we need from the political system. We do need rule of law. We do need protection from external enemies. We need protection from each other when we misbehave, which is the rule of law part. And, you know, to some extent, because this is always true with governments, even no matter how pure a libertarian one is, you have to realize that the government does provide help to people in catastrophic circumstances. Something like Katrina, your city floods, government is supposed to come help you bail. You know, I mean, there's no doubt about that. But that's it for government. They help us in utter catastrophes when we're completely incapable of helping ourselves. They defend us from external enemies, and they defend us from internal enemies. They've got a legal monopoly on deadly force, and that's it. And when we start to ask them for, also, would you make sure that our food has no trans fats, and my shoes don't fit, and could you get me a better haircut? You know, you know, a couple of things. First place, they'll say yes because they love power. They're bad people. People who go into politics are bad people. Let's just face it. Secondly, they're not going to do a good job at this stuff because you can't task an organization with that many duties and expect them to do all of them or even any of them well. So it's self-defeating on a couple of different levels. People will use your requests to grab power from you, and they will also do a damn bad job with the power that they've grabbed.